So, you may be wondering why I haven't uploaded a video in 6 months, and also you're not wondering that because nobody watched that video, so consider this my first video. So basically, I just got a new camera and I wanted to film a January wrap-up because I read a lot of good books in January, so let's just get to that. And also, I'm going to be drinking from this mug a lot. It says Wisconsin on it. I don't live in Wisconsin, but anyway. So the first book, I mean, I read a lot of good books last month, and I actually read 13 books, which is kind of crazy. I have no life. I have a lot of free time. Anyway, I read a lot of interesting ones. I read a few series. Well, actually, like 2 series? I don't know. I read a bunch of books that are going to have really good sequels soonish, so I'm excited about that. And the first book I read, I guess this is the first month of the new year, so this is all the books I've read in January and also the books I read. This is the first book I read of 2019. I had read like half of it before the new year, but it still counts towards my Goodreads challenge, so I'm happy about that. And that book was Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. And I really liked this whole series. Actually, it's nothing, I actually never thought I would read this series. It's not really something that I would do. I'm not really a big like romance contemporary reader, but a bunch of people, well, it's because of the movie, and then a bunch of people started saying how good it was and how like it defied expectations and stuff, so I started reading. I think I read the first one a few months ago, and I read the second one before I read this one, and I finished the series, and I really liked it. There was a lot of unnecessary angst because of communication issues, which I think this could have all been resolved. I thought it was a very classic, we're going to college, how are we going to stay together storyline. It was really nice. I love the writing style. It's very cute, and they like take no time to read, so it's like totally worth it. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, which is mostly what I give everything. Okay, moving backwards for a second, I just realized I didn't explain anything about, I was doing the next book, I'm gonna cut that out obviously. I was doing the next book and I realized I didn't explain what this series is about, and that's kind of what people do in wrap-ups. I'm so professional. Anyway, I'm gonna quickly explain what the first one's about, because this is the third one in the series. It's a contemporary romance about this girl named Lara Jean who has, for her whole life, had crushes on like a bunch of guys. I don't remember, like, is it 4 or 5? I don't remember. And because she's so shy and she never is very like vocal about her crushes, she would always write the boy a letter and keep it for herself just to have. And one day, mysteriously, these letters get sent out to all the boys she's had crushes on before. It's actually really good, and for someone who doesn't read books like this often, like, I was pleasantly surprised. And it's a pretty good overall series too. Takes no time to read. Okay, moving on to the next book is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I pronounced that so horribly, I'm sure, I'm sorry. And I had to read this because I am in a book club. I would probably never choose to read this book otherwise because it's just not my cup of tea. I usually read YA. And I liked it. I gave it 4 stars because I thought it was really interesting. I mostly liked it because I thought it was really unique. The writing style was interesting because it was written like it was almost a historical fiction. Like, it has that type of disconnected writing style, and I really thought it was interesting. It's short enough that I didn't feel like, ugh. I had to read this like 700-page historical fiction novel for my book club, and it was not pretty. Anyway, I like that it was short. It's not historical fiction, it's a sci-fi about, it's a dystopian actually, but it's written like historical fiction. So if you're a fan of historical fiction and you kind of want to see what sci-fi is like, this is like a good like gateway book. Is that the right term? I don't know. I would not really recommend this to really big YA sci-fi fans because you're not going to really find what you like in YA sci-fi in here. If you're an adult sci-fi fan or dystopian, see, this isn't really a sci-fi though. It's kind of hard. Just look at it on Goodreads. You'll see more of an in-depth description there. It's technically an adult book, but it just goes through the life of someone, basically. You know what? I'm not going to tell you anything about this book. Just know it's about this girl who you follow her life story in this dystopian sci-fi-ish world, and really don't look anything up about this book. I knew nothing about it going in, and I think that was so important to my like enjoyment. So I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Like, I give everything. But honestly, you know what? I'll give a decimal rating because Goodreads does not have a good rating system. So I'll give this book 3.75 stars just because it wasn't really my cup of tea. But if you're a big person who likes books like this, like the type of writing style, then you definitely like it. So moving on. So the next book I read this month is actually a sequel to a book that I read a few months ago that I enjoyed, but like it wasn't like one of my favorites or anything, but I did really like it. And I read The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzie Lee. And so I read the first one, The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, a few months ago, and I enjoyed it. It was like a 4 stars for me. But I loved this book so much. Like, this was so insanely good. I loved the characters. I thought the plot was really interesting. I loved Felicity's like voice. I loved her narrating things. And I loved the side characters. I loved Sim. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the other girl. Oh my god. Johanna. I loved all of the characters except one character, but he was the bad character, so you know, you expected not to like him. I loved the cameos we got from the first book. I loved all of that. I thought it was so good. I thought the themes were really good. You know, it was just a really good story, and it had really good representation. It was great. And if you've read the first one and you're like hesitant because maybe you didn't like Felicity in the first one, or maybe you're just not that interested, definitely like give it a try. I like this one so much more than the first one, and I enjoyed the first one. So give it a try. It's basically about, I'm not going to talk about the first book because I don't want to spoil anything. So this book takes place, it's a historical YA fiction about Europe in the 1700s. It's about this girl named Felicity, and she's expected to become like a wife and all that stuff. She's really interested in like things to become a doctor and like medical things. She's super interested in that. So she wants to pursue that as a career, but you can imagine in the 1700s, it's not exactly an easy thing to do if you're a woman. And so this is basically about her time trying to achieve that goal and how she goes about it. And read the first one and then read this one because they're both really good. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I don't give many books 5 out of 5 stars, so this is like rare. Okay, so the next thing I read this month was actually this month. I keep saying this month, it's January. Was a series, and that was the entire, all the books that are out now at least, Shatter Me series. So I read the first, second, third, and the fourth one, which I'm not going to get them all, but here's the fourth one. I did read all of the rest of the ones this month too, but they're in like this box set because it was on sale. And I don't have to get them out because I'm lazy. This is a dystopian book series about this girl named Juliet who, if she touches someone or if someone touches her, they get the life drained out of them and they get killed. And this is and it's set in this really dystopian, like destroyed world with an insane asylum. She's in an insane asylum. So like that's kind of all you get to know, or the rest is kind of spoilery. There are 4, actually it was originally a trilogy. In the recent years, the author, did I forget to say the author's name? Tahira Mafi is writing 3 more, and this is the 4th one, the first one of the new trilogy. I don't know, they're marketed as one series, but I feel like it's 2 different trilogies. We'll see, anyway. And I really like this series. It's kind of your classic dystopian series. I do like the characters. After book 1, I did not expect it to go the way it did. Warner. No spoilers, but that was really surprising. I was not expecting that at all. So I read the first 3, and then I read this one thinking it would be like, oh, some fun times after the big event in the 3rd book. This book can just leave. Okay, the ending of this book, what? What the heck happened? Okay, I want to know what happened, and we just had a cover reveal for Defy Me, which is the next one, which I don't know how I feel about the cover. It looks kind of weird. I mean, it's pretty, but it looks kind of weird. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. So in this book, you get a dual perspective, where in the first 3 books, you got Juliet's perspective. I'm not going to say who the second perspective is, because I guess that would be considered a spoiler. But I really liked that. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I gave all books in this series a 4 stars. I would probably, 4 stars is about right. Because it's not, like, super incredible, but it's, like, they're pretty good, and they're really entertaining, and they're really quick to read, so. I'm eagerly awaiting the next book. Okay, so the next book I read this month needs a little bit of description. So I'm a huge Cassandra Clare fan, and I've recently... Okay, after Queen of Air and Darkness, I needed a minute. I'm just like, I'm still not okay, and I keep seeing fan art for this specific 2 people that were my favorite characters. Anyway, let's just move on, because if I'm going to make a Queen of Air and Darkness video, I mean, I might at some point, but I feel like it's too late for that. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's just move on. This isn't about Queen of Air and Darkness. So I reread City of Glass this month. I'm going through and rereading The Mortal Instruments very slowly. I'm planning on rereading City of Fallen Angels and City of Lost Souls this month, February, and then I'm going to reread City of Heavenly Fire in... Wait, oh my god. Okay. I'm reading City of Heavenly Fire in March in anticipation for the Red Scrolls of Magic in April. So I've been doing that, and I'm on City of Glass, and I really like City of Glass because in my last video, if you guys... Okay, I'm going on too many different tangents. I really like City of Glass. I feel like it's a really good natural ending to the first trilogy. I love all the character developments. Okay, after reading Queen of Air and Darkness, I love seeing Aline in this book. She's like, it's just fun seeing her start, and I can't wait to see more of her throughout the rest. In my last video, I actually said that I hadn't really read all the Mortal Instruments book, and that's not true. I actually have read them all. It's just I have a hard time counting when I read them all because I read them so long ago. I read them probably like 3 years ago, so I have a hard time counting them because I remember all the major events and all the characters. I'm actually really obsessed with the Shadowhunters world. I read the wiki for fun, so I'm well versed in the things that happened, but I haven't read the actual Mortal Instruments books in a while. So that's why I said in the last video that I haven't read them all. I have technically, but it's just been a while, so I've been rereading them. I really like this book. It's really good. Anyway, moving on. Sorry if the vantage point changed a little. I had to replace the battery, so it may look a tiny bit different now. Sorry. Anyway, the next book I read this month was The Disasters by M.K. England, and I did really like this book. I gave it probably a 3.8 out of 5 stars. It was really good for like how short it is and for the complicated subject matter. It's like a big sci-fi story. I felt like the characters were all really nice. I did feel like the whole love triangle was totally unnecessary because, sorry, I just said a spoiler, so I have to go back a little. I was really looking forward to it because it sounded like, to me, a Six of Crows in space, and that's kind of what I got, more or less. It's about this guy named Nax who's like, I'm such a hotshot, but he's really not because he gets into this like space school institute thing. It's kind of complicated actually, which is weird because how short it is. So basically he fails to get into the space school type thing because he wants to be a pilot, and there's a whole reason why. He has a whole backstory, and he meets up with these people who also have really big backstories. So it's like definitely a story about like found family and friendship and kind of discovering what people are. It has a love triangle in it, and without spoiling anything, I think that the love triangle was completely unnecessary. I don't think it added anything. And it didn't, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll just say that. I think he could have chose one of them from the beginning and it would have read like the exact same way, so I'm not exactly sure why it was a love triangle instead. But you know, gotta keep that dramatic tension up. So if you like books that are very high intense energy, the only thing that I would say about this book that's a complaint is I think it had like one too many like space escape scenes. Like there seemed to be a lot of those, but it was really good and it was really interesting, and I think this is a debut, so I'm like really looking forward to what this author has next. So I gave it like a 3.8 out of 5 stars. Also, I apologize, I'm really bad at explaining books, so just Google this book or something, I don't know. The next book I read is kind of a book, it's kind of not a book. I read the third My Hero Academia volume. They don't have like titles, yeah. So, I'm not gonna say like much about this because I'm not like a huge manga person, but I watch the anime, so I sometimes, and my brother's really into manga and anime, so I kind of do this for him a little bit maybe, I don't know. But I really like this series. I thought this was a good issue. I'm not like a manga critic or anything, it was good. Basically, I mean, if you're like a fan of manga and you don't know what this is about, Are you a fan of manga? Anyway, it's about this world where everyone has quirks, superpowers. Basically, everyone has a superpower, and it's about this guy here, Deku, who was not born with a quirk and has to, like, find his way, and, like, something happens that means he can have a quirk. Just read it or watch it. I recommend watching it because it's much quicker, because the manga is... Oh, wait, maybe not. I don't know. Depending on whether you like mangas or animes, just do either. So, the next book I read this month was... Oh my god, stop it. Sky and the Deep by Adrienne Young, and this book has been on my radar for a really long time. I bought it a while ago because it was on sale. Mostly the reason why I buy any book. And I thought it was really interesting. I did not know it was historical fiction, actually, until I read it. And I would never choose to read historical fiction, so I'm glad I did not know it beforehand. It's about this girl who's a Viking, and basically her Viking clan has this... I'm so bad at explaining books, by the way. I feel like I say this, like, so much, but I'm sorry. So it's about this girl, and she's, like, part of this Viking clan, and she has this brother who died when they were fighting their angry opposite Viking clan, who they fight with a bunch. They're, like, enemy Viking clan. So her brother died while fighting them, which they fight for no reason. But it's fine. So he died fighting against it, and like a bunch of years later, when she's fighting against him again, she sees her brother like fighting for the other side, and then it kind of goes from that, who she had no idea was alive. So that's kind of the main premise. It's mostly a story about, I'd say, accepting people and not taking everything at face value. And I really liked it. I gave it, I think, 4.15 out of 5 stars, because it was a little bit gory, so I'm a very, like, not into gory stories, and this was, like, at the limit of goriness I can stomach. So if you're not into that kind of thing, or, you know, you can barely tolerate it, just keep that in mind. It's pretty gory. It is about Vikings who fight a lot, so keep that in mind. Okay, so the second to last book I read this month is another debut. And I really enjoyed this book, and it's Girls of Paper and Fire. Sorry, I just had to look up the pronunciation for her last name, and I still don't think I know it. So it's by Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nunn, and I'm not even sure if that's right, like Nan or something. I'm sorry. This is a book about this girl named Lei, who, I think that's how you pronounce her name. You gotta just know this about me, I'm awful at pronouncing things, like everything, I'm bad at it, so just expect to be mad about that, about me mispronouncing character names in the future. This is about Lei, who basically gets chosen, kidnapped, to be one of the king's paper girls, which basically means, I'm not gonna get into it, but just read the synopsis. And it's in this world where there are these demons. So there's Mooncast, which are demons that are humanoid. There's Steelcast, which is humans that have some demon features. And there's Papercast, which is like regular people like us. And so it shows that dynamic between different levels of people and how they interact. And it has a really great romance in it. It has really nice characters. I'd probably give it 4.15 out of 5 stars. Did I? Yeah, I just gave it to that book. Yeah, it's about the same to me. It does feel a little bit slow at some points, but like, that's fine. I don't mind a slow story. It's totally fine. And I think it's got really important messages in it, and yeah. Look it up on Goodreads, see if you like the premise. I really liked it. And like, I mean this cover. I got this Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and it's like, apparently it's like red, which is really cool. The final book I read this month was last month, oh my god, A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahira Mafi. You can see I've just been reading a lot of her this month. So this book is about a Muslim girl shortly after the events of 9/11 and what she has to face going through high school, which you can imagine is not a great experience, and falling in love with someone. And it's basically a romance with some really cool elements like breakdancing, and it's a very nice message, and it was a really good book. Yeah, I think this is really good. I think Tahira Mafi's writing style really works with contemporary too. I was a little worried going into it that because her writing style is very like, it feels really dystopian to me, through the Shatter Me series, and I feel like it worked really well, even in contemporary, and I hope she writes more contemporaries, and I can't wait for Defy Me. Okay, so those are all the books I read in January. I read quite a few. Hopefully I can keep this going throughout the year. Probably not, but we'll see. I guess I'll tell you what I'm currently reading right now. I'm currently reading King of Scars because I love Leigh Bardugo and I love Six of Crows. Six of Crows is actually my all-time favorite book. And I'm like this much in, and I don't really want to talk about it because I'm having a little bit of a hard time connecting to the characters, and I'm really hoping it's just kind of a slow start and it gets better. I just want to see the Six of Crows characters. They're the only people I care about. It's probably my own issue. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Hopefully some of these books are interesting. Let me know if there's anybody watching this. Hi. Let me know what you thought of these books, or what of these books that you'd like to read in the future, and if you've read these books, and let me know what are some of your favorite books you read in January. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.